I will see the second topic from networking, that is network cables. So there are different types of cables used for networking, and it is the essential component to connect a computer. So there are four types of cables used normally are one is coaxial cable, another is untwisted pair cable UTP cable, then shielded twisted pair cable, that is STP cable, and finally it is optical fiber. And then not only these cables, but we'll see the various physical components that are required for cabling the network. And we'll see the best popular concept, what is the structure cabling in case of networking, and different components that are involved in this structure cabling, and then what are types of cabling, how you can trim the cables, and the some of the important issues related with this. Let's start with the coaxial cable. I believe you have studied this in earlier or somewhere. Now, when you talk about the coaxial cable, normally this is a cable which everybody might have coming at home through your what we call as an cable television. Mostly cable television people do use coaxial cable. Now these people also have switched over to optical fibers. But if you see, this is the typical structure of coaxial cable. If you see, there will be outer jacket, which is normally a black color, very thin plastic. Then there will be a shielded cable, or there will be a shielding, mostly of a copper or some. So there will be something thin net of a shielding. It depending upon the cost as well as the operation where you will use put to this. Mostly it is for prevention for maybe from animals or just to protect. This is from animal at the same time to protect from interference. Then there will be a foil shield. It is mostly to prevent any EMI interference. And then there will be a center conductor, which is normally a copper conductor. And around this, there will be a dielectric. Again, this is in the form of the mostly a plastic or clear plastic is there. So this is why there are two diagrams that I'm showing here. These are very similar to each other. What is more important is that this is called as this is coaxial. That means your conduct is at the axis of your wire. That is why we can say that particular cable is a coaxial cable. This is also called as thin net cable. Then if you see the characteristic of this coaxial cable, it is relatively inexpensive when compared to other cables. Installation relatively simple. Typical bandwidth of 100 Mbps. That means 100 Mbps data can be carried very easily. Node capacity is 30 for thin net and 100 for thick net. That means if you use a thick cable, then you can have 100 computers connected to each other. Then attenuation much less than that for a twisted pair cable. This is the one of the advantage. Anyway, we are going to see the details of other cables too. Susceptible to electromagnetic interference. Somewhat it is susceptible, but to certain extent, if you use a costly coaxial cable, you can come out from this. Then plenum gradient must be used in ceilings and walls if you want to protect this particular from electrical magnetic interference, or if the high voltage wiring are going very close to it, then it is better that you must it protect from this. If you see the coaxial cable, now you will find earlier when the network exists or whenever the country, most of the time most of the countries either connected with the satellites or wireless networks, or when it comes to wired networks, you will find most of the countries still have this coaxial cable laid inside the seas, and through this coaxial cable even today's most of the networks are going on. Now slowly this is being replaced with the optical fiber cable, but it is still exists, and depending if the thickness of this is increased, then obviously the capacity of this is that is data carrying capacity is increase of this cable. Then next cable, this is called as untwisted. This is called as untwisted pair cable. That is a twisted pair cable. Now here we'll find this is a uh, normally called as a UTP cable. This UTP cable, especially for computers, you will find there is a four pair of cables, and these pair cables are colored normally brown. Then you will have a blue color, green color, and somewhat a pink color. Or these are the typical colors that are normally used for this particular pink, or sometimes it will be a red color, but mostly it will be a red color. That is bound red, and then blue and green. These are the four pairs cables are connected, and these are twisted to each other. Then if you see they normally called as a green white green, or blue uh, white blue, or similarly brown white brown, etc. These are the colors are normally named. So normally if whenever you say UTP cable, this is a twisted pair cable. Outside there will be a jacket, inside there will be a 8 cables, and which will be actually 4 pair of cables, it is better to say. And this is color, and normally this is color coded, and these colors are standard. Then if you see short form, this is a, when you say UTP, it is called as a unshielded twisted pair cable. That is UTP's long form of this is unshielded twisted pair, a popular type of cable that consists of two unshielded wires twisted around each other. Due to its low cost, UTP cabling is used extensively for local area networks, and even can be also used for telephone connections. ETP cabling does not offer a very high bandwidth. That means data carrying capacity, it is limited, but it provides sufficient good protection. But because of the development of this UTP, especially category cables, or what is called as a CAT cables, now it is possible, if you use a Cat6 cable, it is possible to transmit a data over almost up to 10 GB of data can be transmitted by using UTP cable. So here it has a good protection from interference when it's compared to the coaxial cable, but certainly when it comes to interference, optic fiber optics is the best option, and it is less expensive and easier to work with. These are the some of the characteristics of this cable. Then other characteristics are transmission rate 10 to 100 Mbps, as I can share with a improved UTP cabling. Now this speed can go up to jump Gbps. Maximum cable segment is about 100 meters. That means without any repeaters in between the wires, you can use this particular cable for 100 meters. Most susceptible to electrical interference or crosstalk. That is the when this is whenever you heard signals, and when the signal interference or one signal interfere with the other, that is normally we call it as a crosstalk, and that is a possible crosstalk can exist, and to overcome this or reduce the crosstalk, this is normally twisted. Less expensive than coaxial cable or fiber optic. In some cases, it is pre-installed telephone wires may be used in the network if it is sufficient. If wire grade, if quality is good, even you can use a pre-installed telephone wires. But mostly nowadays we only use Cat5 cables or Cat6 cables. Very flexible and easy to work with. It wire type is about 22-22 to 26 AWG. That is American wire gauge. AWG stands for American wire gauge, and it is very similar. Other we normally say square mm. Whenever you say, if you go for any electrical cable and if you want to purchase any we normally say what is 2 square meter, 4 square meter, or 1.5 square meter, 1 mm square meter. These are the normally the other ratings or other specifications of a wire. Then it is normally use RJ45 as a connector, which is a 8-pin connector. We'll see later details about it. Then Ethernet designation is as 10 base T. So this is again one Ethernet standard. And whenever you say 10 base P, that means speed is 10 Mbps. That is, it is using a twisted cable. T stands for twisted cables, and 10 stands for that is a capacity of data carrying capacity. So this is 10 base T. Then if you see some advantages, disadvantages, or pros and cons, it is most flexible, cheapest cable, easy to install, easy to add users. That means you can add the connection as and when you require. May be able to use existing phone cables if data is of a good quality. Then there are certain disadvantages. The shortest usable cable length, you cannot increase this over a longer distance, because maximum limit the data can be transmitted without any attenuation, or reasonable, or what there is signal strength should be able to recover without any problem. So here you go for a maximum 100 meters length. Susceptible to electrical interference. This is unsecured. Anybody can tap this particular cable. Generally not good for use between the buildings, because of maybe because of this is very flexible, and what is the tensile strength and breakability and other protective features are relatively less, hence it is not recommended between the buildings. Then next cable is called as the shielded twisted pair cable. If you see the difference between these, otherwise there are again a 8-pair cable, there are again a 4-pair cables. But here, what is done here, there is a one copper foil used, and this copper foil is used for shielding purpose, and it automatically wraps around this particular, and it is used for reducing electromagnetic interference, as well as same if you require a better grounding can be provided by this, and it will also be UV resistant shade. That means this is a UV resistant shade, that's a black. Then this is a foil shielding is there. So whenever you have any foil shielding, then you can recognize this as it is an STP cable. Definitely STP cable will be better than UTP cable, but also the cost of this will be relatively higher. Then the key characteristics of shielded twisted pair cable is that it is very similar to UTP, except it contains a copper braid jacket to shield the wires from electrical interference. It can support transmission over a greater distance than a UTP. Of course, the distance will go long, electrical interference will be better, but the cost of this will relatively be more and the weight will also be more. So these are the differences between see the uh, actually the cable, and if you see there will be additional layer, that is a shielding layer will be provided over this, and that will be the that could have some another benefits in STB cable. So if you see the differences between UTP and STP, as I said, it is a long form is unshielded twisted pair, it is a shielded twisted pair. This is cable with wire that are twisted together. Twisted cable enclosed in a foil shield. Cheaper than STP. This is costlier than UTP. This is lighter because there is no sheath or like this, or it is heavier than UTP. This is prone to noise and interference. Here, less prone to noise and interference. Supports slower speed. Obviously, it will support the higher speed. Then grounding, it is not required in case of UTP, but it is to take the advantages of shielding. You must ground this particular cable, so it is required. Then target deployment, where it can be used. So here location that is less prone to interference like offices and homes, you can go for UTP, but location which are more prone to interference like factories or airports, then in that case where the electrical machining or machine wise sound or vibrations or similar sort of things are there, then it is better to go for STP for networking of cables. Then this is another way of just to give you the idea that how this particular development is there in UTP cables. UTP cables are used right from last 30 years ago. Earlier it was used, they were used to have a one coaxial cable when a simple networking was done and bus type of wiring were used with VNC and not connector. But now later on, this cable find the best stable option. Now one, if you say Cat1, Cat2, Cat3, Cat stands for category, so UTP category cables, and accordingly there are various versions came into the market. Every version is improved with the earlier version. That means some plastic, that there sort of certain conductors and that is capacity of these conductors or metal used for conducting these. This is changed accordingly, and you will find with the improved metallic properties of conducting a data, it is speed is drastically improved. So if you see Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 4, so now Cat 5 somewhere came into 10 years before. Cat 5e, that is an extension to this. Now, if you see the speed of this particular transmission, Cat 3 can go up to 10 Mbps over 100 meters. Cat 4 can go 16 Mbps with 1000 meters. There is a large improvement from 16 to 100 Mbps that Cat 5 cable, which is normally used in 10 years before. Now, just if you go in the market, now we'll always go for Cat 6 or Cat 6a. Now, if you say Cat 6 cable, it will have 10 Gbps per 100 meter. This is twisted pair, and this is a gigabit Ethernet, mostly used for. This can be used for 55 meters, or even now Cat 6 cable can also be used up to 100 meters. That must say this much is improvement here in this. And now once you go for beyond the 100 meters twisted pair, then that particular cable will be called as a Cat 7 cable. Now here, these category 7 cables are now exist in the market. So whenever you want to install any networking, you will have to give the consideration that which UTP cable you are going to use. And I will suggest here you can go for Cat 6 or Cat 7 cable based on the cost of this. And if you see the boxes available, it is normally 300 meters boxes available, which costly about 4,000 to 5,000 rupees. That is based on this. And then there are different companies in the market which actually produces these twisted pair cables. So this is all about the development of these UTP cables over a period. Then this is the most important. Probably you are going to study the more half of the topic, that is mobile and fiber optics, where you are going to study actually the details of the fiber optics. But nowadays, as you know, with the GigaNet or Geo, that is now Geo has also almost came into the Aurangabad. Now he has started his services with the optical fiber, and slowly it is covering almost all the area of the even Aurangabad city. Probably within 1 or 2 years, everywhere the network will be of a fiber optics, because as you know, the fiber optics can carry the data in the range of gig. Now here terabytes capacity can be there. That means the thousands of gigabytes data can be transferred through this. And if they're not only one core, if there is a multiple core, you can have a multiple data transmission through this particular the optical fiber. So if you see the optical fiber construction wise, there is a outer pro jacket. This is again for protective purpose. Then to give the strength, there is again cladding here. This particular cladding is given, and inside this particular cladding, you will find a very transparent, say, glass material that is called as a core. And to protect this core, there is again a covering of a cladding that is with a here you will find the very high here refractive index is almost 1, and then here refractive index slightly goes on changing. Accordingly, there can be different types of optical fibers and their transmission, maybe their characteristics and all these. Or later on, you can study the in details about this. Today's we just wish to know what is optical fiber, what is why it is used, and in what situations it can be used, and what are the benefits of it over to the curb. Most of the times when it comes to optical fiber, you will find that whenever servers are there and when you use a backbone of the servers, that means when you have to connect server to server, then in that case mostly we always use the optical fiber as a backbone cable. Otherwise, most of the times patch cords or twisted pair cables are used for connecting from switch to switch, etc. I'll show you some of the connections later on. See, this is nothing but the another way that the same thing can be represented. That is what is optical fiber. That is here basic important is this is the core, and through which actually data is carried, and data is carried in the form of light. And as you know, light frequency is almost 10 raised to 16, so 10 raised to 14 to 10 raised to 6. So that particular light or photodiodes are used, or LED or laser beams are focused. That based on your which the intensity on which frequency you want to operate. Accordingly, mostly nowadays laser beams are used so that this light can go over a very long distance without attenuating the signal. And because there are another advantage, as we say, not only the data carrying capacity, but here the distance over which the data can be communicated is very large by using optical fibers. So this is another way of representing the same thing, exactly the what sort of connection. Only here, instead of single mode fiber, it was a single mode fiber here. Now if you see, there are multi-mode fibers here. Optical fibers are many, so there can be many fibers, or say, or the rest of the portion, that is this fiber is almost very delicate, or you can say thickness of the fiber is very similar to your hair. Here whatever be the आपल्या केसांची जी thickness आहे, almost त्या thickness कालच ऑप्टिकल फायबर असतो. परंतु ह्या ऑप्टिकल फायबर्सला प्रोटेक्ट करण्यासाठी ते प्रोटेक्टिव्ह कव्हरिंग आहे, आणि दॅट टू इट शुड विथस्टँड इन द एन्व्हायरमेंट. दॅट इज वाय दिस additional covering or coatings, or me say clapping, or that various layers will be on over this particular this, so that it will have a protections and it will be easy for handling also. So these are the optical fibers. Finally, this is the one important thing what you have to understood at the end of the lecture. This is the bandwidth. UTP can go up to 10 to 100 Mbps. STP can also go 10 to 100 Mbps, but only it's here distance can be increased. And here the repeaters or signals quality will be much better compared with the UTP. Then coaxial cable is limited to 10 Mbps. If you want to go ahead, we have to thickness of the core that has to be increased. That means copper has to be more and more thick so that its capacity can be increased. But when it comes to optical fiber, fiber optics can go for 100 Mbps to 1 Gbps. Now 1 Gbps is very, this particular slide is maybe now if you say the today's standards, in today's standards UTP can go up to 20 Gbps. Coaxial cables can go 100 to 500 Mbps. Coaxial cable, it is possible to go 500 Mbps maximum limit, and optical fibers can cross the 1000 Gbps. That is the today's standards of all these cables. Then maximum cable segment, you can go for up to 100 meters for UTP STP. It can go up to 500 meters, and it can go up to 2 kilometer to 100 of kilometer. That means almost you don't require any repeater today's in fiber optics, and that is the main reason why the people are going for fiber optics. Then interference ratings, this is very poor. This is better than UTP, better than twisted pair. It is very good because everything is as this is a glass, and glass is purely so it is very free from EMI interference. Then installation cost, it is very cheap, costly than UTP, somewhat costlier than twisted, but this is costliest to employ because what are the components, and very trained people will be required for splicing and optical fibers and cutting into this and joining, and at the same time the what will say connecting connectors that are used for connecting fiber optic, that will be also be costly, and some trained persons are required to maximize the advantages of optical fibers. Then bend radius, it is 360-degree, you can bend it anyway. Even coaxial cables can be bent anywhere, but optical fibers you cannot bend it at a very large angle because there will be a dispersion or dispersion of a light from this, and that is why it is not recommended for mostly straight line, or you cannot bend more in this. Security, of course, very high security, nobody can tap your signals, or you can even very easily you cannot decode the signal that is going through the optical fibers, but it is possible that in other cables some may tap your signals and get the require, then it can be decoded by those cables. Let's say now this is RJ45 connector. Probably you might have seen this particular RJ45 connector, which is normally at the one end of the cable having eight wires crimped into it. And once we use the crimping tools, we can insert these 8 wires cables. How to do this particular cabling we'll see at the end of this lecture. That is what is straight wire and cross wire, and how to crimp this particular wire. But this is the one RJ45 connector, that is a plastic connector, and normally 8 wires are put into it. Then with the help of crimping tools you can crimp, and it will be ready for carrying the particular data. So this is normally this is a even market, you can get a one RJ45 connector in 2 rupees, 10 rupees, 50 rupees, or 100 rupees also. That will depend upon the cost, the quality of that particular RJ45 connector. Mostly if you take a 5 to 10 rupees RJ5 connector, that is sufficient enough, because most of the times what is the context that matters more, and how precisely this is manufactured, and how better it is can be crimped. Based on this, that will be a cost will increase. Then this is the way how this cable can be inserted into RJ45. We can hold this particular in this, and you can crop this, you remove this. You can have a certain one sequence of the wires. These wires can be inserted into this particular RJ45, and this can be clipped with the help of. Now this is a tool. If you see, this is what normally we call as a crimping tool. This crimping tool has a capacity to either here you can cut the cable by using this cutter. At the same time, this is all round here where my mouse is moving. You can also just remove the plastic coating by just moving this particular portion over the cable. The plastic portion can be automatically be removed. If you want to cut, you can cut it over here. If you want to, now you can just put cables into RJ45 connector, and once you press this particular RJ45 connector, automatically this is crimped. That means the wires are connected to the gold contact of the RJ45, and the connections are ready. This is for uh, This is 8 pin connection. This is also 6 pin connection. That means you can use for RJ11, which is the telephone connector. It is RJ45 connector, which is normally, as we said, this is a for use for networking cables. So this is RJ45 for connecting RJ5. You see, this is the socket where actually you have to insert that particular RJ45 and just press that with enough press, then automatically the cables will be connected to the connectors and your crimping will be done. And if it is correct, you can test it by using what is called as an tester that I'll show you later on. This is the one wire that is called as a patch cord. This is a factory made patch cords. Of course, you can use by using a crimping tool, and if you know how to connect this and sequence of this cable, you can prepare your own patch cord also. Not necessarily every time you need to have a factory made, but if you go for factory made cables, this is relatively a longer good tested of a certain standards, as well as it will have a very it will not have any problems during handling or connecting, and wires together it will be you can use for connecting computers. Then this is another patch panel. This is normally used. This is the another way that how you can have a structured cabling possible. Now, when I say patch panel, so here you see that here there will be now if you see there are about see the connections that are given. It is almost 50 ports are there. So normally ports available are 48. There are 48 channels are 48 ports are available, but patch panels will be available with normally 50 ports. And every year, one will be for incoming, one will be for outgoing. That is additional ports are given. Now, what will be the cable that is coming from? Now, if you take our example of our computer lab, in our computer lab we have used two patch panels. Then every wire that is coming from the each computer that is terminated over here. These 8 wires are actually connected, or I will say crimped at this end. Then these connections will automatically come to one. Second pin will go to two. Third will go to three and four. That means all these wires coming from different computers can be terminated on the patch panel, and that patch panel then it will be automatically once you connect this, the connections will be automatically available over this port number. So you can go on giving the numbering on the back panel also. You can give the numbers to the wires, and you can also from front side you can give the numbers to this particular. These numbers are already given on your patch panel. So this is the patch panel which is normally used to terminate any wires coming from individual computers to the say maybe I will say network rack. Then this is another component that is used. So we are like just like what I have shown. This is the extension of this. See, oh, yeah, you cannot see this particular in earlier uh, patch panels. But if you see now, whatever the structure of this, if you see the enhanced or a larger version of this, it is something like this. See here, if you could see in the right corner of this of okay, so here you can, if you see a mouse here, then these are the four sockets. The wires you have to just insert in between this. So that once you insert this wire into this will automatically be connected. There is certain information is also given. So which type of cables you want to connect, and that color codes are also given. Which cable should be connected here, which color code should be connected here. And if you could follow these particular conventions, you will not have any problem. That if this is the back end of your what it is called, this is called as an RJ45 sockets. So these are the three sockets, different types of ways that can be there. So here what I can say, this is the say top side of this can be a bottom side of it, this is the front side, this is the back side of this particular RJ45 sockets. So if you could get a time, or if you probably it is possible that maybe in month of December, if you could able to take a practical, then during practical cycle practically show you everything to you, so that instead of giving so much attention here, so that if you see actually see it and handle it and do it, probably that is the best way of learning these particular things. But anyway, this is a cat 6 socket. Yes, the RJ45 socket, it can be inserted over here, the cables can be terminated here, or otherwise RJ45 will come in from this side and the cables are terminated on this side. So this is another way that how these cables can be connected into it, and this will be a probably better, still movable and better RJ45 socket. But if you want to really fix that particular socket, which we have fixed now, this particular plate is called as a face plate. And with this particular face plate, if you just move this, then indirectly you can connect the RJ45 patch cord into this. So if you have a fixed connection, then it is better to use faceplate and this type of socket. At this, you will find if you open this particular this, then one socket will be there from this, which will be connecting this. You just is required to insert the patch cord over here, and automatically there can be one connection. There can be a multiple faceplate, and here there will be giving you some portion you can write down, just indicating the computer number or name of the computer, or maybe the serial number of the cable, and like that this particular information. So these are all the, see, this is basically RJ45 sockets, and are the various versions of RJ45 sockets. Here backside also you'll see this is what else. In fact, one socket is inserted into it. You can see this is a plastic. If you carefully see this particular, there is a plastic lock there. And if you just insert into socket, that plastic lock gets fit into this particular faceplate, and automatically this will be firmly fitted into this, unless and then will not be any further problems. The same sockets which we have used also in our computer lab for networking purpose. Then this is the another networking component that is called the network rack. So this is a 9U rack. Normally 1U is equal to 2-inch rack. So if I say this is 9U rack, basically the height of this rack will be almost 1.5 feet. That means 18 inches will be there. An 18-inch rack means that is 9U rack. If you want a 1 feet rack, you can go for 6U. If you want still smaller, you can go for 4U. But based on your how many switches and how many patch panels you have to connect, and accordingly you have to decide which rack you should have. Having a rack is the conventional or best way, because it has a lock and key arrangement. It has some transparent glass over here. It will show indicating how the networking is on, and how the LED indicators on a switch lamp, it will give you the proper operation, and from this you will come to know whether the what is the network traffic, it is normal or abnormal, you can judge from it. Then most importantly, just to have some aeration into it, inbuilt fans will be there. Inside this you can fit, there will be different levels here, so you can fit the patch panels, patch cords, switches with nuts, bolts, or with screws. Everything can be fit into this. That means depending upon your requirement, you can decide the rack what we want. Then these are the server racks, which are normally which is normally 42 or 50U, or this type of racks are there. When you say 42U racks, that means 84, almost 84 inch. That means 7 feet height will be there. And on this particular, depending upon whether you want to have a server to be placed, or maybe your switches racks are to be placed, accordingly you can go for designing it. And so these are the one way of showing it. This is the best, probably the best representation of how the servers are fitted into the racks, and how then if you see the backside of this, which is more important, and from that point of view I am trying to explain you what is structured cabling. So here these are the server racks. Probably this is the one view of a data center where lots of cables are there, lots of computers are there, lots of servers are there, and continuously it is being. So if you see any sophisticated data center, this is one of the picture of that particular data center. Then if you see, as I said, structure cabling, so you can see that how these properly cables are being structured, and how these are properly connected, how these are properly terminated, how these are properly wound, properly numbered, as well as properly, if you see, there are certain conveyors are there. Then these are these cables are actually crimped into this is going into it. These are actually connecting to these different RJ45 socket. This is the wire, and this wire is coming from a distant end. So this is the way that how the structure cabling is done. Even if you have a 24 computer connections, or 48, 100 or 1000, I believe everybody should, if it is possible, and if your a firm structure, it is not a permanent cabling, then it is better that one must go for the concept what is called as a structure cabling. And it is also possible that you can end to end, you can also have a direct connection from computer to switch. But this is not normally recommended because there will be a lot of problems if you, for low cost, just to crimp and two sides and connect computers with the switches. Okay, that is temporary, it is good, but if you are going to long run, if you are going to use a networking and if you don't wish to have any problems as far as connection issues are concerned, then it is better one must go for structure cabling. Then this is another way of showing the structured cabling. If you see this particular structured cabling, this is a very complex net cabling is done over here. Then if you on left hand side also there is similar type of cabling. And if you see this orange side, orange normally cables, these orange cables are normally optical fiber cables, which actually connect the different backbone servers. So that wherever you need a very large data transfer, there normally optical fiber is used as a backbone cabling. Then the last topic that I'm coming with is crimping of cables. That means when you say crimping out, that means how you can connect the two cables. So there are two standards normally used in for cabling this concept. This one is called the 568A standard. Another is called the 568B standard. For any commercial application, 568B standards is normally used. For household wiring, home wiring, or home LAN network, you can go for 568A. But for any commercial or large network, or for that matter, even if it is a small network, I'll suggest that if you really want to go for cabling, you always go for 568B standard. So whenever you say 568B standard, what exactly that standard is? This is giving you how you can connect the cables. So if you are connecting the cables, right, in this particular order, that order of cable, if you see this, the first one is white brown, then white green, then blue, then white blue, then green, then again brown and white brown. If these are the 7 cables on one end and the same cables are going to the another end, then that will be called as the 568B standard. If you see 568A and B standards, you will find there is an interchange of the wires. So if you see this particular blue, now if you see that there in these particular cables, what we will find is that there is actually the changes in the wires. So you have to remember this. Whatever, whenever you are going for such a type of connection, mostly people will go for this particular 568B. So remember this type of connections, and if you just connect this with the same colors, it has to be connected to the same wires at other end. Then this will be called as a straight cables. And straight cables are normally used for what we call as if see there are dissimilar devices. To connect two dissimilar devices, we normally use a straight cable. Just for example, if you want to connect any switch to computer and switch are the dissimilar devices. So that is why we normally use a straight cable. Now the question comes, why you require a cross cable or crossover cable? So if you see this particular another way in this, now you'll find this one is going to 3 and 6 is going to 2. On similar line, this 6 side is going to 2. So here, if you carefully see what is crossover cabling, what is crossing is done of cabling, you will find 2 is going to 6 and this 6 is going to 2. Why this is? Because why we need to go for crossover coil cable? Because let us say if you want to connect switch to switch, or if you want to connect laptop to laptop or computer to computer, then there should be one transmitter, another should be receiver, and receiver has to be made transmitter, transmitter has to be made receiver. And for that, these are the switching is done between two to, see, you will find here the wires are switched between 2 to 6 and 1 to 3. If you see 1 and 3, so now if this is 1 is going to 3, and now see, now similarly 1 is going to 3. If you see these particular two wires actually switched 2 and 6 and 1 and 3. Let's see 2 and 6 is changed, and otherwise remaining wires are almost same. That here this is the way that if whenever you want to make this type of switching the whenever you are make to crossover cable, that is 568B standards. So this, why we need this for type of cabling, that means what is important here, on one side there should be white brown, on another side the first wire should be a
white, green. Similarly, on this end, if this is a brown on one side, then second wire should be green on this. That why we are going for this convention, because one transmitter acts as a receiver and receiver is connected to transmitter, and then there will be communication possible between the similar devices. That is why we need to use what is called as a cross wire cabling. Then the next way, the another use, as I said, this is nothing but you can use for, this tool is used for crimping the wires, but this is a very good tool. By using these sockets, you can push or you can insert the symbol wire into the sockets of RJ45. Whatever the white pins are there, this point can be pressed by using either this device or mostly this device. You can use this particular knocket is there. By using this particular tool, you can press that particular wire firmly into the space of your RJ45 socket, so that this wire will be firmly fixed, firmly crimped. Once it is done years together, there will not be any problem. So here, now what is most important, this is another device which is called as a network tester. This network tester can be used for connecting whether your telephone line RJ11, that has got normally two connectors. At one end, RJ11 will be there, at another end, RJ45 will be there. On similar line, there will be two connectors over here. You can directly connect the cables between these two sockets. And if you this, and then automatically it will show the light coming over here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. If you get 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 corresponding to 1 2 3 5 7 6 8, that means this is a straight cable and this is perfectly connected. If we have a cross cable, then one will go to 3 and 2 will go to 6 and 6 will go to 2 and like this, and 3 will go to 1. If this is a cross Equals connection, you have to just watch this LED and this LED. If this LED is proper from this to this, that means the cables is perfectly connected. And if you do not get the light on corresponding numbers, that means the light cable is not properly crimped, or it is not connected. Or even if you want to test whether the cable is working, it is fine or not, you can use this cable tester, which is just a continuity tester, but it is devised only to check your RJ45 connection whether it is properly done or not. And as I said, these are the other tools. We may have RJ45, this is the plugger, cutter, etc. If you have got these four tools, I think this is enough for any person having a good knowledge of networking. He can do anything in the network if you just have these particular four tools with you. And we have already purchased these particular tools. In fact, if you know, if you could remember, this lab networking of this is done by our students, last batch students, and they have actually laid the cables. So cabling of this is done by them, but due to some these problems of corona area and that, and then because of certain issues, as I was out of for 2 months I was not in the college because of my some illness. That during that they couldn't do this particular actually this, and then later on when NBA has came, then it due to emergency we have done that at our level, and this whole entire networking we have done here. So this is networking relatively. Do a networking, especially structured cabling. It is essential. You must understand what is structured cabling, what is a cable, what is the cable standard. So in this particular lecture I try to explain you what are the different types of cables that are used for networking, then what are the characteristics of this particular cable, then the comparison of this particular cable, and when you go for structured cabling, then what are the different components you need to know, or at least you should remember now. These are the names of these particular components, and this is the purpose of these particular components, and where this is normally used for this, and what are the different tools and their purposes that is used for networking purpose. So this is all about the today's lecture. From tomorrow's lecture, I will start with the, I will go for TCP/IP. I will go for OSI standard layer, and there I will standard OSI layer, that is a 7 layer standard, where actually entire computer network subject is can be explained with those particular 7 layers, and what is the importance of these 7 layers, and from these 7 layers how this TCP come to only on 5 layer, and how this TCP become more popular and actually implemented. So there we'll see the comparison as well as the operation of this 7 layer. Once you understand the 7 layer perfectly, I think any networking issues or any networking problems you can very easily guess, or at least you will have a very good depth of networking, and that will solve the future problems if you are supposed to work as a network engineer, because there is no harm. Even most of the electronics engineer do work in the networking fields, and this is a really emerging fields. Once you understand this, then relatively managing the servers, maintaining the servers, configuring the servers, or maybe maintaining an entire networking of the organization, this is the work of a what we call as a network engineer. So here it is a very vast area, but also upcoming area. And this is, of course, you know the problem when the computer does not work, and if a network is not working, what sort of problem, what the problems you create if you do not know anything. But it is better you can, if you learn these particular things, probably you can solve the most of the problems by yourself, whether software configuration, giving addresses, connecting the issue, these problems can be sorted out. So this is my aim behind taking this particular lecture. So let's say, so here I'll stop my lectures over here. So I think, as I have given you certain warning to you, the it seems that is reflected over here.